Okay, and we are broadcasting. Leslie, how are you?
I'm great. How about you, Chris?
I'm great. So welcome webinar participants. I can see the number count rising, which is great. We're going to allow people a few minutes, not a few minutes, say a minute, so that people can join the webinar and so that the recording can start. Leslie, Beck, how are things going for you? So what's, I don't know, tell me something interesting. You've actually, we were just talking about this, you've been celebrating a couple of occasions. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, yesterday it was my wedding anniversary and today it's my birthday. So how about that?
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
I feel lucky, and I hope our webinar attendees also feel lucky to be able to share this important occasion. So what are you doing tonight? Is anything special?
Well, actually, no. I mean, tonight I'll be writing a Globe and Mail column, so I've got lots of work to do today, but that's just the way it is. Last night, though, we the first time during the pandemic, actually, we ordered takeout, and normally we cook all our meals, and we just haven't. So we decided to, and we ordered an amazing Persian meal from a neighborhood restaurant that was really great, really good flavors, healthy foods, vegetables, lean protein. So that was what we did.
That's great. Okay, so you were worried. You're a bit worried that your cat will jump on. My story about that is that I was I was not presenting this. I was just in a webinar for sick kids with a couple of hundred people. You know, like 300 people, and this was their CEO talking. And then one of the sick kids people came on, and their child was in the background running around and wanting her attention, and it was kind of endearing. So
yeah,
I think people are used to this kind of, we're all in this together sort of thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to start. We have we have great numbers, and that's amazing. So welcome to MedCan Presents, the twice a week webinar series that happens every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 p.m. We do safe at work employer focused webinars on Tuesdays, and then this is a wellness focused webinar, which we tend to do on Thursdays. This is, Leslie, is this your third webinar in the series? Second webinar. And yeah, I love these. So yours today is Calorie Blunders and How to Avoid Them. My name is Christopher Scholgen. I'm part of the team that creates content here at MedCan. So Leslie, I'll work through your bio. So Leslie Beck is a registered dietitian and the director of food and nutrition at MedCan. She's recognized by the media as an authority on nutrition and food issues and is an experienced communicator in television, radio, and print. She writes a weekly column in the Globe and Mail and is a best-selling author of 12 books on health and nutrition. Leslie, why don't you share your screen?
Okay.
And we can go from there. I'm a little, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, that's great. Perfect.
We're all ready? Okay.
So one final thing, folks, please ask questions. We will take questions at the end. You can do it on, there's a Q&A button at the bottom. And then if you just come in halfway through, this is being recorded and we'll post this on the MedCan YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/MedCanLiveWell. Okay, so let's start.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. And thank you everyone for being here today and sharing part of your lunch hour with me. I really appreciate that. Now, this topic came about from a question I received from a Globe and Mail reader. And she wrote to me, she said, I've managed to gain 5 pounds during COVID-19, despite being able to work out every day and not eating any restaurant meals. What can I do to get my diet back on track for the summer? And so she was feeling that she was doing better at diet and exercise than she ever had been before, yet she still managed to gain a little bit of weight, and she was frustrated. And certainly as a dietitian in private practice, I hear this sentiment often from new clients that I'm meeting for the first time. You know, I'm asked, why can't I lose weight? I really feel I'm doing everything right. I'm eating healthy foods. I really don't eat sweets, but yet my weight won't move. And people also wonder, you know, if their inability to lose weight has to do with a sluggish metabolism or low thyroid, or, you know, perhaps it's just in their genes. But that's almost always never the case. It's usually the fact that dietary blunders are to blame. Oversights that can quietly add a couple hundred or more calories to your day, and enough calories either to stall weight loss or in some cases even add to your weight. So today it's all about exploring these under the radar calories that can easily creep in and add to your daily intake. And certainly I'm going to give you strategies along the way how to help avert them in the first place. So here's what we're going to talk about. We'll get the next slide, and that doesn't seem to be working. Nope. Do you know why that might be, Chris?
I don't. So
oh, there I am. I got it.
Okay.
Try that again. Sorry about that, everyone. So here are, you've got a sneak peek here, the 8 most common diet or calorie mistakes that I hear from clients that really can keep the pounds on. So we're going to talk about mindless nibbling. We're going to talk about healthy sized portions of healthy foods. I'm going to share with you some information about how it's so easy to overlook calories in fresh meal kits. And some of these numbers I think are going to be very surprising to you. Eating like an athlete, being too liberal with added fats, sprucing up the green salad, too many smoothie boosters, and then we'll talk a little bit about alcohol as well. Before we begin though, I want to find out a little bit about you and why you're here. There we go. Now I know how to do it. Nope, that's not what I want to do. So the poll. So I'll get used to this. So just take time to answer. I really want to find out why you're here today. What made you decide to listen, watch this webinar? Is it because, you know, and pick whichever one best represents you. So is it the fact that you've gained a little bit of weight during the pandemic, but you're surprised by it? Or maybe you have gained a little bit of weight, but you do know why? Maybe you're out there, you're trying to lose weight, but you're finding it difficult. Your weight just isn't moving. Or maybe this has nothing to do with your weight at all. Maybe you're just curious to learn about this topic and to be proactive in your calorie intake. So take a moment to answer your questions, and then Chris will share with me the results when he can. So that I get.
I think our numbers, I think everybody has. So folks, if I think it should be on your screen, but if not, you may want to press the polling button. I'm not sure whether you see the polling button, but it should be on your screen and you can just vote. And I think pretty much everybody has voted. So
okay, great.
Leslie, do you want me to just walk through what the results are? Okay, yeah. I'm going to end the poll. Okay, so what brought you here? So I am surprised that I've gained weight during the pandemic. That's 9% of people. Okay. I gained weight during the pandemic, and I know why. That's 27% of people.
Okay.
I'm trying to lose weight, but my weight doesn't budge. That's 24% of people. And then no weight goal, just curious to learn about this topic. That's 39%
great.
of the people. So
excellent. Thank you.
Great results.
Yeah, good. Thanks, everyone. All right, let's move along. So we're going to close that right now. There's the results. Okay. So this is by far the #1 calorie mistake I see clients making, and that's mindless nibbling. And it's really easy to forget about the cookie you grab as you're walking through the kitchen, or the repeated tastings while you're making dinner. And with kids always around these days, it can quickly become a habit to, you know, finish on what they haven't eaten on their plates, or maybe you're snacking a lot more than you normally would because you're always fixing them snacks as well. And certainly if you're working from home, the refrigerator isn't far away. So it's pretty easy to tackle boredom, maybe soothe some stress, or procrastinate some work by reaching for snacks throughout the day. But the problem is all of those unconscious bites can add up quite significantly, and sometimes to the calorie equivalent of an entire meal. I've put on the screen here, this was actually a study, a small study conducted in American adults, and it found that people who were on a 1,200 calorie weight loss diet but weren't able to lose weight in the study, the researchers found that they were actually nibbling an extra 1,000 calories a day. So the point is, it can add up quickly. And let's consider the math for a moment. So if we take a look, there we go. All right. So for example, an ounce of cheese, a small square, 115 calories, 6 Triscuits, another 100, a handful of almonds can be as much as 200 calories, 15 potato chips, another 100. If you eat a little bit of goldfish from your kids, 75 calories. And let's say you finish off that last chicken strip on your child's plate, there's another 100 calories. So if you think about right now how many times in the day that you grabbed an unplanned snack, or you finished your kid's meal, or you have an extra helping of something at dinner, the calories could add up to 200, 500, maybe more a day. And that can do damage over time, considering that it takes eating an extra 500 calories a day in order to gain 1 pound per week. Of course, providing you're doing everything else the same. I know that's a bit extreme, but even if you just overeat an extra 200 calories a day mindlessly, that can, if everything else is held constant, lead to an extra half a pound a week. And also keep in mind that after the age of 30, our resting metabolisms, the rate at which our body burns calories when we're doing nothing at all, slows down due to age-related muscle loss. And so to account for this, every year after age 30, women should cut 7 calories from their daily diet. Men, for every year after age 30, should be cutting 10 calories a day. May not sound like a big number, but think about this. So a woman who is 55 today should be eating 175 fewer calories every day than she did at age 30 in order to maintain her weight. And so that's something we just don't think about and we don't adjust for. So, okay, if you feel that there is mindless snacking creeping in the day, what can you do about it? So here are some of the strategies. First and foremost, to become fully aware of the calories that slip underneath the radar, track your food intake in a food diary or maybe an app. Write down everything and do it in real time so you don't miss anything and you stay mindful. So I've got a couple of stories to share with you that really show how powerful and impactful this is. I vividly remember a client years ago. She was a lawyer. She had had a baby, so she was at home during her maternity leave. And she complained to me that she just couldn't lose weight, but she knew why. She was constantly in the kitchen, opening up the cupboards, opening up the fridge, reaching for snacks. So what I had her do, I had her take a yellow legal pad and put it on her kitchen counter. Yellow because she wouldn't miss it. It was obvious she was going to see it. She had to write down every single thing, every single time she opened the cupboard of the fridge. And she did it. She actually did it. And she was quite shocked by how many times a day that occurred. So it was a powerful deterrent. She stopped doing it. She broke the habit and she was able to lose weight. The other story I have is much more recent. A client last week I just started working with. It was our initial assessment, and then she was going to come back a week later to get her plan. And she said to me, Leslie, give me some homework. What can I do in the next week that's going to help me? And I said, well, you know, I'm not going to tell you to change anything about your diet. We'll do that next week when I give you your plan. But what I want you to do is just keep a food diary. Write down everything you eat. So she did it. Yesterday we talked. I reviewed her plan with her, and she reported losing 2 pounds just by writing everything down. She said she got rid of some of those mindless extra snacks. So it really does work. Next thing I would say is make your snacks for the day very deliberate. Plan them so you know what you're going to eat to prevent you from grabbing whatever. And I would also serve them on a small plate or a bowl. If you're eating something like whole grain crackers, or maybe it's Skinny Pop, I don't know, measure out a portion, count them out, put them in a bowl or a small plate so that you can actually pay attention to the fact you're eating. To practice mindful eating, it's also really important to sit down to eat without distractions. So don't eat while watching TV, while checking your emails or social media, or while driving, of course. If you do, you're going to eat more. And eating while distracted causes overeating by making you less focused on your hunger signals and making you less aware of how much you eat. I mean, we've probably all done it, eating while distracted, and you look down at your plate and you can't remember eating that much food. The other thing I would suggest is eating slowly as well. After every bite, put down your utensils and chew thoroughly. That will help you eat less. And then really think about your hunger cues. Find out how you're feeling. And this is a great exercise that I would encourage you to try if you feel you either eat too quickly or you eat till you feel full. So this is the hunger scale, and the exercise is such. So rate your hunger level at the start of your meal, halfway through your meal, and then once you finish. The goal is to get to level 5, where you feel satisfied but not full. So level number 1 is you feel starving, you can't even concentrate, and you need to eat right now. Level 2, yes, you feel hungry, but you could wait a few minutes before eating. 3, you feel slightly hungry. You could certainly eat something, maybe a snack, but not a meal. Number 4, your hunger has almost disappeared, but you still could eat another bite. And number 5 is the goal. You're not hungry, you're not full, but you feel satisfied. That's when you know you've had enough to eat. And the problem is that many people associate, I've had enough to eat, I'm finished now, but is when they feel full. So it takes some relearning of that, but I encourage you, and then it goes on from there, 6 to 8. You'll see the worst being sort of that Thanksgiving Day full. Okay, calorie blunder number 2, eating healthy sized portions of healthy foods. And I think it's common to overlook the calories in very nutritious foods that are good for us. For example, it's common for me when I assess someone's usual diet, routinely people tell me that they eat twice the portion of salmon than they do of steak. Salmon's healthy. They think steak is less healthy. And yes, it's true that salmon has got lots of omega-3s, lots of vitamin D, one of the very few foods that has naturally occurring vitamin D, and lots of the antioxidant selenium. But 8 ounces of it has 455 calories. And if you're eating a 4-ounce portion of steak because you think it's less healthy, well, that's actually, in fact, half the calories. Consider your portion size of other nutritious foods too, like, for example, avocado. Really good for you, lots of heart-healthy monounsaturated fat, tons of fiber, and the B vitamin folate. But one avocado has 322 calories. Nuts are another culprit often. Lots of healthy fats, vitamin E, which protects your brain cells from free radical damage, and plenty of magnesium that can help actually lower blood pressure. But 2 handfuls can have as much as 400 calories, so that really adds up. And then fruits and vegetables, amazing sources of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. And that's certainly one of the reasons why we're told to fill half our plate with fruits and vegetables. But, even so, if your goal is to manage your weight, you can't eat all the fruit you want. It's not a free food. So one medium-sized fruit, because it has naturally occurring sugars, has anywhere from 70 to 105 calories. That doesn't mean, though, you shouldn't eat it. Some of us can do a better job of actually including it in our diet. All right, so some strategies around this blunder. I really encourage you, if you don't know how much protein you're eating, weigh it. Use a digital scale to do so. And depending on who you are, your calorie needs, your activity level, etc., your protein needs, you probably should be eating anywhere between 3 to 6 ounces of cooked protein. Unless you're really, really good at it, eyeballing, I don't find works. So eyeballing, you can be off. Up to 100 calories, maybe more. And you probably often heard lots that, 3 ounces of cooked chicken or fish, for example, is the size of your palm. But, we all don't have the same size hands. So your palm could be the equivalent of 3 ounces of fish, or it could be 6 ounces of fish. And that could bring an extra 155 calories to your meal unknowingly. Number 2, I would definitely think of avocado as an added fat. 83% of the calories in avocado comes from fat, healthy fat, but so it really is an added fat. And 1/8 of a regular size avocado is the equivalent to a teaspoon of oil. If you're going to be snacking on nuts, count them. If you're having nuts as your snack, stick to a 1-ounce serving. That would be the equivalent of 23 almonds, 14 walnut halves, 18 cashews, or 50 pistachios. They go a long way. If you're including fruit as part of your snack, which I often recommend to my clients, then cut your portion of nuts in half just to balance the calories out. And then just remember, as nutritious as it is, fruit is not a freebie. I would encourage you to include 2 to 3 fruit servings in your daily diet. Choose fresh over dried, which dried fruit is more concentrated in sugars and calories. And of course, avoid fruit juice. Okay, I'm not going to advance the slide because I want to just preface it before you see the numbers. So this is all about overlooking calories in fresh meal kits. And you know, meal kits like HelloFresh, Chef's Plate, Good Food, they certainly help busy people put a very tasty meal on the table that they otherwise wouldn't because they don't have the time to do so. And during the pandemic, I've had many clients tell me that using meal kits has really helped them limit trips to the grocery store. So you'll find on these websites, if you use them, you're maybe already familiar, of course. Good Food offers the Clean 15 Pack program, or which are all low carb meals. HelloFresh and Chef's Plate have a vegetarian and a veggie option. They all sound pretty healthy. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but one thing they're not is low calorie. So let's take a look at that. Here's just some examples. And I've got lots more, and they're all really, really similar. So the Good Food chicken and chickpea sheet pan meal, one serving is 810 calories. Look at all that protein. Probably don't need that much. Even a male working out won't need that much in a meal. And I also included the sodium numbers. So all 2,400 milligrams of sodium. To put that in perspective, if you're aged 19 to 50, your daily requirement for sodium is 1,500 milligrams. If you're over 50, you need a little less, 1,300. The upper daily limit that we shouldn't consume any more of is set at 2,300 milligrams. So one serving of that meal has a little more than your upper limit for the full day. Chef's Plate salmon, nice healthy choice, and summer asparagus risotto, 910 calories, lots of protein, 1,200 milligrams of sodium, almost a full day's worth for adults. And there you see another Good Food, 920 calories, lots of protein, again, 1,200 milligrams of sodium. So these are really large numbers. And I think they're more calories than most people, certainly women, need to eat in a sitting. So some strategies for you. First of all, if you order these types of meal kits, read the nutrition facts. I know with Chef's Plate, they have you can see the nutrition facts on the website. With HelloFresh and Good Food, you get that information, I believe, after you order it. At any rate, so I would try to keep your meal to 450, maybe 400 for some women who are trying to lose weight, to 600 calories. And I'm going to wish you luck with that, because I've looked at lots of these meals and that's hard to do. So what you really have to do, if these are our regular offering in your week, consider that if you're getting the package for 2, consider that to be 3 servings. You have to eat less. And again, this is an opportunity to weigh your protein to determine the right portion size for you. And when it comes to the sodium content, a lot of these meals have spice packages. And if you look on the ingredients, salt is the first ingredient. So to cut the sodium, use half the spice package as well. Okay. Blunder number 4 is being too liberal with your added fats. So olive oil and other cooking oils, they're good for you for sure. They contain heart-healthy, unsaturated fats. In the case of olive oil, it's monounsaturated fat, which is anti-inflammatory and may help the body use insulin better. But think about it right now. Do you know how much oil you use when you're dressing your salad, when you're sauteing vegetables? Do you think about it? Do you drizzle a little bit or just pour it in the pan? And same thing with almond butter or peanut butter. How much are you putting on your toast? How much are you stirring into your oatmeal or blending into your smoothie? So, I mean, these fats are really good for you, but they're calorie dense. Oils, for example, regardless of what kind it is, coconut oil, olive oil, butter for that matter, 120 calories per tablespoon. A tablespoon of nut butter has 95 calories. So I would suggest, if you're not sure, measure it. Really measure it to know how much you're eating. And what I generally recommend for clients who are really being conscious of their calories, is I usually include 2 added fat servings per meal. So a serving would be a teaspoon of oil, a tablespoon of seeds, 1/8 of an avocado, 1.5 teaspoons of nut butter, or it might be 4 teaspoons of a vinaigrette salad dressing. Those are all the equivalent of 1 serving. Right, number 5. Eating like an athlete. So I've got 2 points to make about this. First of all, it is easy to do, to justify eating a larger portion of food or maybe an extra dessert because you worked out 4 times this week. Surely you burnt those calories off. They're not going to make a difference, right? Well, maybe not. So consider that theoretically, 1 pound of body fat has 3,500 calories. So in order to lose a pound a week, you'd have to burn off 500 calories every day of the week. And if you weigh 155 pounds, that takes about 63 minutes of running or spinning, an hour and a half of brisk walking at 4 miles per hour, and close to 2.5 hours of strength training. So obviously, if your goal is to lose weight, relying on exercise is not sustainable. Plus, eating one indulgent meal can wipe out your calorie burn in one day. So it is easier, much easier to cut those extra calories from your diet, or cut some of them from your diet while you're continuing to exercise. And that's, you know, a lot of these under the radar calories. If you got rid of those, you would do the trick. So if your goal is to lose weight, absolutely keep up the exercise, but focus on your diet. And remember that 80% of weight loss happens in the kitchen, not in the gym. Here's another common mistake when it comes to eating and exercise, and that's overeating protein just because you're strength training. And first of all, yes, it's absolutely true that if you're regularly exercising, especially strength training, you need extra protein to help repair muscle tissue. So for example, if you weigh 150 pounds, I'm not sure why I'm going with that number, but I am. If you do resistance training 3 times a week, you need to eat an extra 25 grams of protein because you're doing that exercise. That's the amount found in 3 ounces of chicken or a cup of Greek yogurt. So easy to do in your diet, but many people are already getting the extra protein they need for exercise in their diet. And keep this in mind, there's no storage pool for protein in the body. So if you're getting all the calories you need and you're eating more protein than you need, it's going to end up getting stored as body fat. The one thing I do want to point out there is it is important to include 20 grams of protein after your weight workout, not before, but after, to help muscle repair. But you might not need to do a protein shake or a protein bar if your next meal is going to be within the hour. And that's a mistake I often see more in my male clients. They'll go to the gym, they'll work out, they'll do a protein shake on the way out, and on their way back to the office, they grab their lunch and eat it within 30, 45 minutes. So they're getting more calories than they need, and probably more protein too. All right, calorie blunder number 6 is sprucing up that healthy, nutritious green salad. So salad for a meal often does seem like a virtuous choice. It's a smart choice. You know, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, mushrooms, all those things are virtually calorie-free and packed with nutrients, right? You top it off with some chicken or tuna and maybe a handful of chickpeas, and you've got a pretty healthy, low-cal meal. But it's all the add-ons that can really make your light lunch a 1,000 calorie meal, sometimes more. So think about a few crumbles, 1 ounce of blue cheese, a sprinkle of dried cranberries and sunflower seeds or almonds, 2 tablespoons each, a little bit of avocado, and a splash, just a splash, 2 tablespoons of vinaigrette dressing. All that combined will add 500 calories to your chicken and salad greens. So be mindful of that. And at the salad bar, well, I'd have to say, I think salad bars are long gone. They're a thing of the past. I don't think we'll be seeing those anymore. But at home, you know, if you're making a meal-sized salad, that's great. But try to choose only one higher calorie topping. So load your salad with lots of greens, with lots of vegetables, include lean protein, maybe some beans or lentils. And then, you know, whether you want the nuts or the dried fruit or the cheese, just pick one of those. I will say one point I'm going to make about dried cranberries, another tip. So dried cranberries are sweetened. They have to be, otherwise they'd be too sour to eat. But just keep in mind, 1/4 cup of dried cranberries has the equivalent of nearly 7 teaspoons of added sugar. So if you like dried fruit in your salad, I would look for dried cherries or dried blueberries, which aren't sweetened, and they still have the same polyphenols that are in other berries. Smoothies, too many smoothie boosters. This is another place that calories can slip in unintentionally for sure. So if you happen to be heavy-handed with the ground flax, the chia seeds, the hemp seeds, maybe some flax oil, your smoothie can end up having as many calories or more than a McDonald's Big Mac. So if you added 1 tablespoon of each of those seeds to your smoothie, that's delivering 315 calories. Once you factor in the protein powder, the oat milk or the regular milk, the berries, the banana, your smoothie is going to look like around 650 calories. And for some people, that may be perfectly fine, but others, it's too much. And I remember I had a client who came to see me, and when I looked at her diet, she was having the same ingredients in her smoothie for breakfast, but she also was adding pomegranate juice because pomegranate juice is loaded with polyphenols and potent antioxidants. So her smoothie that she was drinking at breakfast was 700 calories, and she was having that along with her toasted almond butter. So watch out though of those things. And I think if you do want to add some seeds, some of those things to your smoothies, it's a great idea. All of those seeds are really good sources of alpha-linolenic acid. That's a plant-based omega-3 fat with anti-inflammatory properties, but choose 1 tablespoon of them or a teaspoon of flax oil. And actually 1 tablespoon of chia, 1 tablespoon of flax, and a teaspoon of flax oil, they all provide a full day's worth of alpha-linolenic acid, that omega-3 fat for both men and women. So that's another place to watch out for. And finally, it's the alcohol calories. Certainly alcoholic beverages add extra calories to your diet, and they can also undermine your resolve to eat healthfully. So consider here that a 5-ounce glass of wine, I'm not sure how many people drink 5-ounce glasses, but if you do, it's 125 calories. A gin and tonic, which isn't on this list, is 140 calories. And a 12-ounce craft beer, which tends to be higher in alcohol a little bit than regular beer, has about 200. So you'll just see how the calories can really add up and add on to your diet. So some strategies for that is, what many of my clients do is they make Monday through Thursday sort of school nights, if you will, and keep them alcohol free. I would recommend reserving weekends and or special occasions for alcoholic beverages. If you're entertaining in your bubble now and you're outside on your patio drinking cocktails with your neighbors or your family, slow your pace by drinking water between drinks. That can help slow you down as well. And then of course, if you are looking to lighten your calorie load, there are lower calorie options. Some of the light coolers out there have only 80 calories now. Vodka soda is definitely a low calorie drink. And dilute your wine by adding, maybe half as much wine and adding some soda water to it. And lastly, of course, limit your drinks from a health standpoint as well, not just calories, but health. Women should be limiting to no more than 7 drinks per week, ideally no more than 1 per day. And men, I recommend 9 per week. That's not a target, that's an upper limit. And 1 drink is the equivalent of 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of regular beer, or 1.5 ounces of spirits. Okay, how are we doing? So finally, last slide, I want to give you some homework. So I've talked about a lot of things, and I'm hoping that some of them resonated with you. You might have thought, wow, I had no idea that was so impactful, or yeah, that I'm guilty of that. So if that's the case, I want you to set 1 realistic diet goal, 1 very specific thing that you're going to commit to work on improving or doing differently. It might be, I don't know, measuring your olive oil that you saute your vegetables in. It might be weighing your protein. Whatever it is, write it down and stick to it for the next 7 days. And then I encourage you the following week to set another goal. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I think we'll take questions now, right, Chris?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to take that was great, Leslie. Thanks for that. I'm going to take your sharing off. Okay, so how to ask questions. You press the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. I do have some that were submitted in advance, so we're going to go through those. So you did talk about smoothies, and so I do think Yeah, smoothies have been a big, like people, I think, are eating more smoothies. I'm not sure why through maybe, anyway, the point is, do you go for full fat in the smoothies, full fat yogurt in the smoothies, or should you be cutting to some sort of, low fat yogurt? The person who put this in said, I've heard that you can eat more low fat yogurt, and that it may have more sugar in it, more added sugar. And so what do you go for? Is it the low fat, high sugar, or do you go for the high fat, low sugar? Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, if you're putting it in a smoothie with fruit, etc., you buy plain unsweetened yogurt. So whether it's 0% or 4% milk fat, there is no added sugar in plain unsweetened yogurt. If you look on the nutrition label, you will see grams of sugar, but that's naturally occurring sugar. That's the lactose that's in there. So that's one. And in terms of, and if you're looking at skim milk versus, let's say, homogenized milk, skim milk might have an extra gram of naturally occurring sugar, just because when they remove some of the fat, there's just a higher proportion of the lactose that's left behind, but there's no added sugar. What I recommend, I do recommend low saturated fat diets. It's, we talked, the last webinar we did last month was all about the MIND diet that helps prevent Alzheimer's disease, slows down the rate of cognitive decline, and choosing low saturated foods is important to keep your arteries healthy. And if you keep your arteries healthy, your cardiovascular system healthy, that helps your brain as well. So I do encourage people to choose, whether it's milk, whether it's yogurt, 2% or less.
Okay. Thanks for that. One question, do you have suggestions for more protein at breakfast aside from eggs and protein powders?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because, one of the things we are learning about protein, it's not just about that you're getting the right amount for the day. It's also how you're distributing protein. And studies do suggest that equally dividing it among your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 20 to 30 grams at each meal, is better for muscle function, maybe even muscle building, some research has suggested. So most people do great at lunch and dinner, easy to do, right? Maybe people need to move some of their protein from dinner to breakfast, but breakfast is where people can fall down. So breakfast, besides eggs, besides Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt, which is an incredible source, 1 cup, we said earlier, has a good 22 grams of protein. Some people might do cottage cheese. Some people might do leftover salmon from the night before or smoked salmon. You could do protein powder if that's one of the ways that you can get it in. I find some people, though, protein powder and a smoothie, some people love it, some people don't, because they just don't feel satisfied. They're not chewing food. But I would say beans and lentils can be another way. It doesn't have to be traditional breakfast foods. It can be any way. You can have, some, nuts, some Greek yogurt, and you can mix it up as well. So you don't have to think traditional.
Eggs and lentils.
Well, you might done. And also keep in mind too, that whole grains are a source of protein. It's not just what we typically think of protein. So things like if you're making a quinoa porridge or oatmeal for that matter, that's going to give you a little bit of protein as well.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. Okay, it's a very specific question. What about nightshade peppers? Do they contribute to arthritis, and should you cut down your intake of nightshade peppers?
So I would encourage you. So yeah, they get a bad rap because there's anecdotal testimonials, I'll say, out there that people feel that if they eat red bell peppers or potatoes or eggplant, part of the nightshade family, that causes more painful joints if they have arthritis, joint swelling, joint stiffness. So really, there isn't any scientific research to support that, yes, that is the case. But if you feel it does, then you might avoid them. And on my website, is it on the homepage now? I can't remember if it's on the homepage or not. I just posted this very question and this article. So, and I talk a little bit about the science. And if you are going to give up nightshade vegetables, the nutrients and the antioxidants that you're missing out on, and how to get them by having other fruits and vegetables. So I encourage you to go to lesliebeck.com and check out that article. I think it should still be on the homepage.
So nightshade vegetables are peppers one subset of nightshade vegetables?
They're all in the same family. It's a family, a botanical family of vegetables, which includes eggplant, potato, bell peppers, red, yellow, green. There are a few others as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions. What is the difference between whey protein versus vegetable protein, and which is better?
Well, that depends, I guess. So whey protein is a derivative of cow's milk, right? So it's a dairy based. Whey protein is got all of the essential amino acids that our body can't make on its own. So it's a complete protein. Some studies do suggest that it's highly bioavailable for your body. And there's some evidence also to suggest that some of the compounds in whey protein, may be beneficial for the immune system. Plant proteins, on the other hand, they can be made from soy, they can be made from brown rice, pea protein. A lot of plant proteins that you buy today are blends. So if you are a vegan or you want more plant-based foods in your diet, that would be the way to go. Soy protein is a complete protein. It does have all the essential amino acids that our body can't make. So it's really up to you. Most plant proteins are about 20 grams per serving. Whey protein tends to be around 25, but that's just generally.
Okay. I love this question. What is your favorite app for tracking intake? There's so many out there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit a personal preference, because I have a lot of clients. The most popular one used today, at least that I see with clients, is MyFitnessPal. And I think one of the reasons is that it has a huge database of foods in it. So it's easy to find foods, but you have to keep in mind that the data that you're getting from any app is only as good as the data that goes into it. So I've seen some really wonky numbers. The other one a lot of people like the ease to use Lose It as well. They find it easier to use. So it's just, I would try a couple. And oh, Lucy has just joined me, my cat. Yeah, I would try a couple, but definitely MyFitnessPal has a large database, and I think it has more functionality as well. Depends what you're after. When I see my clients and they start with me, I go old school with them. I say, for 2 weeks, I want you to keep a written food diary. And I do that because it makes you think differently about your food. It's just not about tracking numbers and did I get my calories? You know, I want people to think about how they distribute their food over the course of the day. Are they getting fruits? Are they getting the right amount of vegetables? You know, so I get them to think of it that way. And then if they want to switch to an app, they can.
So somebody asked about your cat and what your cat's name was, which was great. So a super quick one, which I think the answer is more complex. Someone asked, I am not very tall, 5 foot 1 inch. What calorie level do you suggest? I walk 30 minutes every day. I mean, that's a tricky question. I think.
Yeah, you know what? I'd need more information to be able to ask. I'd need to know, I would need to know more information. You know, I know he or she walks 30 minutes, but more physical activity, what your goals are. Is it to hold your weight steady? Is it to lose weight? And what is your current weight? So I would need more information to be able to provide that. Let me say this though, and this is just very general. If weight loss is the goal, generally for women, 1,400 to 1,600 calories, depending on activity levels, sometimes a little lower if someone is very sedentary. And for men, it can be anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 calories a day. That's general. So I mean, it's not prescriptive at all, but in general, you can think in those ranges.
Okay, that's it for the questions. I'm just going to talk about what's happening next week at MedCan. And to do that, I'm going to share my screen, which this is going to take me a second. So next week's webinars, how to sign up for them. So go down to the Keeping Communities Healthy page, and if you scroll down, you see the weekly calendars for the full month's activities, and for clickable links, you can go to this PDF. And so next week, we have 2 webinars. We have one about safe at work and kind of bringing everything. It's an employer-focused one about how employers can keep their customers and employees safe at work. The other one, which is interesting because we're coming up on flu season in the fall, and this is going to be an interesting flu season because of COVID. We don't want to overwhelm the hospitals with flu patients in addition to possible COVID patients. And so this is an especially important season to get your flu shot. And Dr. Aisha Khatib from MedCan is going to be talking about the flu shot and how to get it and why to get it and why this is an important one to do that. So I'm going to stop sharing. Leslie, any final summary or anything like that?
No, I think just thank you everyone for spending some time with us today. Really appreciate it. And I hope that you can take away some valuable information, or you found a few facts that were kind of like, wow, I didn't know that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you certainly provided me with some. And so, yeah, take for the next 7 days, Leslie, you said for the next 7 days, try to identify one thing about your diet and improve it and track it. I am certainly going to do that, and thanks for that. And yeah, maybe we'll talk about that the next webinar, which we'll hope to have you back kind of in mid-summer, I think. So let's talk about that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, folks. Really appreciate it. Have a great day. Okay.